If your child has learning gaps when it comes to history, then you just figured out the most effective way to teach social studies. This isn't just a clickbait introduction. I really do have some quite powerful reasoning for why it is important for our children to have learning gaps in history, why learning gaps are a sign of deeper thinking in your child when it comes to history, and how you can approach teaching social studies in the most effective way to draw out that learning. This video on social studies is part of the new curriculum series that I have for you, where we are going to unpack what we actually want to be teaching with each of these subject areas and how that can shape what curriculum you choose this year. Because there are so many amazing choices out there. But what about when it comes to actually teaching from what you chose? How can you continue to teach these from a box systems in a way that truly reflects who you are as a family? And how can you ensure that you actually cover what you want to in these subject areas, even if you decide to be done with your curriculum halfway through the year? In this curriculum series, I invite you to come along as we dig deeper into what it means to teach from these different subject areas and what that really can look like. I am not holding back here. I'm sharing not only what the main purpose is behind each of these subjects, but also the different categories that are included in these subjects and a very interesting perspective for each of them, which may just cause you to think about these subjects in a whole new way. I think you're going to learn something new here. So if you haven't subscribed already, then this is a good time to do so that you don't miss any of the future videos in this series. And if you are new around here, hello, welcome. My name is Natalie Burns, and my whole purpose here is to support homeschooling moms to create even more connection with their children through the way that you teach, so that you can have the freedom to reflect who you are as a family in your homeschool. So what is the main purpose of social studies? Well, through the subject of social studies, we are able to develop our children to be informed and critically thinking citizens. The concepts that are included under the umbrella of social studies are history, government, law, Indigenous studies, culture, community, philosophy, economics, religion, and human geography. That's a lot of concepts to include. And let me reassure you that it is not expected that you are going to be covering each of these concepts every single year. It is really good to know, though, what all of these concepts are so that you can allow your child to have an introduction to each of them throughout the different years of their homeschool, so that they know what they really like and what they connect to, and so they can choose what it is that they want to dig deeper into. Your child's interests may just surprise you. From a teaching perspective, I recommend that you choose maybe 2 of these concepts each year, and they can be different each year, or you can have one that continues each year, and to look at those 2 concepts a little bit deeper. This could look like a little bit each week throughout the year, or it could look like just 1 week of intense study for that entire year. The point being that your child gets to sample all of them over time. When it comes to history, I have a bit of an interesting perspective that I would like to share with you that may change the way that you view history. And if you have been concerned that you're not teaching enough history, then this may actually be really encouraging for you. I have a feeling that you're teaching more history than you realize. What it really comes down to is the 2 ways that you can approach history. And that is analytically, like through a timeline of what happened when, or dialectically, which is more of a deep dive into one particular moment on that timeline. There is a place for both of these in our teaching. However, you have probably found in your homeschool that there is a lot more engagement from your child when you teach from a dialectic perspective. Why is that? Well, when you really dive into just one of those moments in time, you can approach this through story. And as humans, we sure connect to story. It allows us to see not only what happened, but why those things happened, what the perspective of those people at that time was, how their perspective was shaped by their location, their government, their culture, and just what knowledge they had available to them at that time. We can start to see what happened through their eyes. And this develops in our children the very important aspect of empathy. We want our children to be able to put themselves in somebody else's shoes and see something from another perspective. This is so powerful. And this is incredibly powerful if you are interested in teaching your child how to view the world from God's perspective. This is because we can see that at each of these points in history, different people have these different perspectives. And it's so easy to think, well, we know it all now. We're right. They were wrong. They didn't know what they were talking about. However, maybe they really were doing the best with the information that they had. And maybe we don't have it all figured out now, but that these moments really reveal something about the human condition and about the human heart and the way that we view through human eyes. This is an opportunity now to point your child to the way God sees things. What is God's perspective on this? And instead of being judgmental about how people in the past could change their perspective with the understanding that we have now, perhaps all of us can really think about the way we change our perspective to line up with the way God views things. Now, I mentioned at the beginning that if your child has learning gaps in history, this is a really good thing. And that is because when we are diving into these moments in history, we are really unpacking a well-rounded understanding of that one moment. It is not possible to do that with all points of time. We just simply cannot know everything about everything. So embrace really understanding the people of that time period and the way that they viewed the world, because as we know, history repeats itself. So we are going to see these same underlying themes of the human experience and the way that we can change our perspective to align with God's perspective at any point in history. Does this mean that we should throw away our timelines? No, especially as your child is getting older and into middle school and high school, it would benefit them if they're interested to take all of these different moments that you looked at in time and start to put them together on a timeline and see where these pieces fit in relation to each other. If you were looking for a way to keep track of these different concepts to include in social studies and what you learned in what years and how you even know what you want to include, then I have just the thing for you. I've created a visual workflow system so that you can see what these different subjects are and what the purpose is and what the possibilities are that you can include under these subject areas, not just for elementary, but also for the older years too, going into high school. This system is a great tool to use for visually planning out what you want to be including for your upcoming year. And it is also flexible enough to be used as a reverse planning system for what actually got done. Not only does it come with all of the subjects laid out and all of the things to include for each subject, it also includes a video explanation of how to use this workflow so that you don't need to worry about a learning curve. You can just jump right in right away. So make sure you check the link for that down in the description box. Well, if this video allowed you to view social studies from a bit of a different perspective, and you're interested in the other subjects in this curriculum series, and I invite you to take a moment and hit that subscribe button. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you for the next one.